The Galactic University's emergency protocols activated the moment the human stepped through the security checkpoint, not because of the armor she wore, but because their scanners detected something impossible living inside her body. Dean Zilax's secondary eyes focused on the security feed, while his primary pair stayed locked on the evacuation readouts. 3 buildings. They'd evacuated 3 entire buildings, and the human was stopping to pet a Clixian sandhopper like this was a normal Tuesday afternoon. "Sir, the containment reading is definitive," Security Chief Kael'thas said, his vocal sac inflating with barely controlled panic. "There's an organism inside her, not attached to her, not riding on her, inside her biological structure. It has its own distinct heartbeat, its own neural activity, and it's actively consuming her resources." According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Then why in the name of the first makers is she still walking? Zilax pulled up the biological scan himself. The readings were impossible. Whatever was inside the human had integrated itself into her cardiovascular system, was pulling nutrients directly from her bloodstream, and appeared to be fundamentally restructuring her skeletal framework. She should be in critical condition. She should be dead. "Sir, she's asking for directions to her dormitory." Zilax watched the human, Emma Johnson, according to her registration files, adjust the metal plates covering her torso and wave cheerfully at a passing student who'd frozen in terror. The armor itself was primitive, clearly decorative rather than functional by modern standards. Medieval Earth design, if he remembered his xenohistory courses. That part made sense for a history major. The part where something was actively devouring her from the inside while she smiled and asked about campus meal plans. That made no sense whatsoever. Initiate medical emergency protocols. Get the hazmat team down there now, and someone tell me why our most advanced biological scanners are showing that thing has been inside her for approximately 180 planetary rotations. "Sir, 6 months, Kael'thas corrected automatically. "Humans measure their— I don't care if they measure time in heartbeats and songs." Zilax was already moving toward the elevator. 6 months of this organism feeding on her, and she's walking around in decorative metal plating like she's attending a costume festival. Contact the medical council. Contact xenobiology. Contact everyone who has ever studied humans, because clearly we missed something fundamental. By the time Zilax reached the main plaza, a crowd had formed, at a safe distance, naturally. The hazmat team had surrounded Emma, who'd set down what appeared to be several bags of primitive cloth-bound texts, and was looking around with the particular expression humans made when they thought someone was overreacting. "Hi," she said, her voice muffled slightly by the armor's helmet, which she removed and tucked under one arm. "Is this about the armor?" Because I checked the dress code, and it said, culturally significant attire is permitted during orientation week, so I figured— "Ma'am, please don't move." Dr. Sinara approached carefully, medical scanner extended. "We need to assess your condition immediately. Our sensors indicate you're carrying a parasitic organism that has achieved nearly total biological integration with your major organ systems." Emma blinked. "I'm sorry. What?" "The entity inside your body." Sinara's voice took on the careful tone medical professionals used when delivering catastrophic news. "How long have you been infected? Are you experiencing pain, fatigue, cognitive deterioration?" What entity?" Emma's hand moved to her stomach, and every weapon in the security perimeter immediately tracked the movement. She froze. "Okay, everyone's freaking out, and I genuinely don't know why." Zilax stepped forward, keeping his body language as non-threatening as possible. Humans were surprisingly perceptive about subtle threat displays. "Ms. Johnson, I'm Dean Zilax. Please understand we're trying to help you. Our scanners show an organism inside your body that has been there for approximately 6 of your months. It has its own cardiovascular system, its own developing neural structure, and it's actively extracting nutrients from your bloodstream while simultaneously altering your bone density and organ placement. He watched her face carefully. Humans had excellent facial communication, and right now Emma's expression was cycling through confusion, realization, and then, unexpectedly, amusement. "Oh my God," she said, and then she started laughing, actually laughing, while medical scanners screamed warnings about the foreign organism sharing her circulatory system. "You're talking about the baby. You're talking about my baby." The silence that followed was profound. "Your baby?" Sinara's medical scanner slipped from her tentacle. "You're claiming ownership of the parasitic organism?" "It's not a—" Emma pressed her hand against her forehead, still smiling. "Okay, we have a serious translation issue happening here. I'm pregnant. I'm 6 months pregnant. This is my daughter." She patted her stomach with genuine affection. "She's supposed to be in there." Kael'thas made a sound like escaping steam. "Supposed to be? You deliberately ingested a—" "I didn't ingest anything." Emma's laugh had a slightly hysterical edge now. "This is how humans reproduce. The baby grows inside the mother's body for 9 months, then she's born. This is completely normal for us." "Normal," Zilax repeated faintly. His academic career spanned 3 centuries, 2 wars, and the integration of 47 species into the Galactic University system. Nothing in that experience had prepared him for this moment. "You're telling me that humans deliberately cultivate parasitic organisms inside their bodies as a standard reproductive process? We don't cultivate—" Emma took a deep breath, clearly trying to find a patient tone. "Okay, let me try explaining this differently. When humans want to have children, 2 humans, well, usually 2, combine genetic material, and then the resulting embryo implants in the uterus, which is an organ specifically designed for this purpose. The baby grows there for approximately 9 months while the mother's body provides everything it needs. Then there's labor, birth, and boom, new human." The medical team had gone completely still. "An organ," Dr. Sinara said slowly, "specifically designed to host another organism inside your body." "Yes." "For 9 months." "Yes." "While it consumes your resources, restructures your skeleton, and—" Sinara checked her scanner with shaking tentacles, "partially suppresses your immune system so your body doesn't reject it as a foreign threat?" "I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds weird, but yes, that's basically accurate." Zilax felt one of his students would later describe as existential confusion on a cosmic scale. "Ms. Johnson, I need you to understand something. In the 73 species currently represented at this university, reproduction occurs through external means: eggs, budding, cellular division, spore distribution. Not a single species grows its offspring inside its own body." "Oh." Emma looked around at the crowd of aliens, all staring at her with varying degrees of horror and fascination. "Oh, okay, so when your scanners picked up the baby, we thought you were being consumed by an invasive parasitic life form that had somehow evaded all known medical interventions," Kael'thas finished. "We thought you were dying and didn't know it." "And the armor," Emma gestured at her metal-plated outfit. "Where did that fit into your theory?" "We thought perhaps it was a human protective measure against the organism," Sinara admitted. "Or that you'd come here seeking help, but were too proud to request it directly. Humans have complex emotional relationships with appearing vulnerable." "No, the armor is just because I'm a medieval history major, and I thought it would be cool to wear actual reproduction armor to my first day." Emma paused. "Reproduction as in historically accurate reproduction. Not reproduction as in, you know what, never mind. The point is, the armor is a coincidence. I'm fine. The baby's fine. This is literally the most normal thing happening on Earth right now." "This happens regularly?" Zilax heard his voice crack slightly. "Multiple humans are experiencing this simultaneously?" Well, yeah, there are about 140 million human births per year, so at any given time there are millions of pregnant women walking around. My roommate back home is pregnant too. My cousin just had twins, that's 2 babies at once. My aunt carried triplets. This is just what we do. Dr. Vexia, the head of the xenobiology department, pushed through the crowd. She'd been in a lecture halfway across campus when the emergency alert went out. Someone explain why I abandoned a lecture on Crithian's cellular mutation to... She stopped, her sensory array focusing on Emma. By the void. The readings are accurate. Unfortunately, yes, Zilax said. Vexia, meet Emma Johnson. She's carrying what she calls a baby inside her body as part of human standard reproductive procedure. Vexia extended her scanner, taking readings from multiple angles. Impossible. The biological stress alone would... She paused, adjusting her equipment. The organism is moving. It's moving inside her. Yeah, she does that, Emma said, sounding fond. Especially when I eat something sweet. She gets active. Last week she kicked me so hard I thought she'd bruise my ribs from the inside. It kicks you, Vexia said flatly, from inside your body, and you find this endearing? I mean, it's how I know she's healthy and growing. Emma pulled out a small device from a pouch on her belt. Here, I have ultrasound pictures. That's her face, see? She was sucking her thumb during the last appointment. She held up the device, and Zilax found himself looking at a grainy black and white image that showed, unmistakably, a tiny humanoid form curled inside what he now understood was Emma's reproductive organ. The creature, the baby, had recognizably human features already forming. Fingers, toes, a face. That's inside you right now, he said. Yep, she'll probably be kicking around in a few minutes if you want to feel it. She's pretty active in the afternoons. Feel it, Kalthos repeated weakly. You're offering to let us feel the parasite, the baby, moving inside your body. I mean, I usually ask first, but people back home love feeling the baby kick. It's kind of a thing. Emma looked around at the assembled crowd of aliens, all radiating varying degrees of shock and horror. Okay. I'm getting the sense this is way more unusual than I thought. Ms. Johnson, Vexia said carefully, I've studied reproduction across 300 species. I've written 12 books on comparative xenobiology. Nothing, and I cannot stress this enough, nothing reproduces the way you're describing. The biological implications alone are staggering. Your body has to fundamentally alter its own structure to accommodate this process. Your immune system has to selectively suppress itself. Your skeletal system has to become temporarily more flexible. Your cardiovascular system has to increase output by nearly 40%. The organism is literally stealing calcium from your bones and iron from your blood, and you're describing this as normal and beautiful. Well, I wouldn't say beautiful right now, Emma admitted. The morning sickness was pretty rough in the first trimester, and my back is killing me from the extra weight. Plus, I can't eat sushi or soft cheese for 9 months, which is a tragedy, but, yeah, at the end I get a daughter, so it's worth it. First trimester? Sinara was frantically taking notes. There are stages to this process. 3 main ones. First trimester is conception through about 3 months. That's when everything is forming, and I felt like death. Second trimester is months 4 through 6, where I am now. This is the golden period, where I have energy, and she's growing but not crushing my organs yet. Third trimester is months 7 through 9, where she gets really big and I get really uncomfortable, and then there's labor and delivery. Labor, Zilax repeated. I'm almost afraid to ask. That's when my body decides it's time for her to exit, so I have contractions. That's the uterus pushing, and eventually she comes out. Usually takes several hours, sometimes longer. She comes out, Vexia said. Through what exit point? Emma explained. The sound that went through the crowd was difficult to describe. Horror. Awe. Visceral, sympathetic discomfort. That seems, Kael'thas managed, extraordinarily painful. Yeah, that's why humans invented epidurals, numbs the area so you don't feel most of it. Emma shrugged, the armor plates clinking. Though some people go natural, my mom did with all three of us. She says it's empowering. I say I want all the drugs they're legally allowed to give me. 3, Zilax said faintly. Your mother did this 3 times. Yep, and my grandmother did it 6 times. My great-grandmother did it 9 times, though 2 of those were twins, so technically 11 babies total. Your ancestor voluntarily underwent this process 9 separate times. Vexia looked like she needed to sit down. Why? She wanted a big family? Emma smiled. Look, I know this is weird for you all, but for humans, this is literally how we've always reproduced. Every human who's ever existed came from this process. It's in our biology, our culture, our history. We have entire medical specialties dedicated to supporting pregnancy and delivery. We have celebrations, rituals, support systems. It's not parasitism, it's parenthood. But the organism, the baby, doesn't even have a separate existence yet, Sinara protested. She's completely dependent on your body for survival. Well, yeah, that's kind of the whole point. I grow her, protect her, keep her safe until she's developed enough to survive outside my body. Then she's born, and I take care of her externally for another 18 years or so until she's an adult. 18 years? Kael'thas looked genuinely distressed now. Human offspring require 18 years of care? Minimum, sometimes longer if they go to graduate school or move back home. My brother's 32 and still calls my mom for help doing taxes. Zilax made a decision. Ms. Johnson, I think we need to have a longer conversation about human reproduction in my office, with the medical team present, and possibly the xenobiology department and the council, representatives. Do I still get to move into my dorm? Emma asked. Because my bags are getting heavy, and standing in armor isn't as fun as I thought it would be. Yes, of course, but first, Zilax gestured at the crowd. We need to update our medical protocols immediately. If human reproduction involves this level of biological transformation, we need to ensure our facilities can accommodate your needs. Are there special requirements, medical monitoring, dietary restrictions? I mean, I need to see an obstetrician. That's a doctor who specializes in pregnancy, every few weeks to make sure everything's progressing normally. I need to take prenatal vitamins. I should avoid certain foods and activities. And I'll need accommodations in about 3 months because moving around gets harder in the 3rd trimester. Emma paused. Also, does the university have maternity leave policies? Because I'm due in March, and I'd really like to not miss too many classes. Maternity leave, Zilax repeated. He pulled up his data pad and started typing notes. We'll need to create those, add it to the list, along with pregnancy-compatible furniture, obstetric medical facilities, and, what were those drugs you mentioned? Epidurals. Right, someone contact Earth Medical Facilities and acquire the specifications for epidural administration equipment. Sir, Kael'thas said quietly, do we need to maintain the evacuation protocols? Definitely not. Stand down all emergency teams. Update the security files to note that internal gestating organisms are standard for pregnant humans and should not trigger containment measures. Zilax looked at Emma, who was shifting her weight and rubbing her lower back with one hand. Ms. Johnson, on behalf of Galactic University, I apologize for the dramatic reception. We genuinely thought you were in danger. It's okay, Emma said, smiling. I can see how this would be shocking if you'd never encountered it before, though I'm guessing my human xenobiology report is going to be a lot more interesting than I originally planned. I would very much like to read that report, Vexia said. In fact, would you be willing to guest lecture in my xenobiology course? I think having a human explain this process firsthand would be invaluable for our students. Sure, as long as it doesn't conflict with my medieval warfare seminar. That's the whole reason I'm here, specializing in 14th century European combat tactics. Emma grinned. The pregnancy is just what I'm doing in my personal life. The juxtaposition of those two statements, studying ancient human violence while growing a new human inside her body, seemed to break something in Zilax's ability to process information. He simply nodded. Right. Medieval warfare and biological reproduction, both very normal human activities. He gestured toward the administration building. Shall we handle your registration? I believe you're assigned to Quantum Hall, room 347. Perfect. Emma picked up her bags, the armor clinking with each movement. Is there an elevator? The stairs are getting harder these days. The baby's weight, Sinara asked, still scanning and taking readings. The baby, the extra blood volume, the expanded uterus, the amniotic fluid. There's a lot going on in there. I've gained about 20 pounds so far, and I'll probably gain another 15 before she's born. Your body mass is increasing by nearly 20%, Vexia calculated rapidly. And you're carrying all that additional weight on your existing skeletal frame. Hence the back pain, Emma confirmed. Also, my center of gravity is completely different, so I waddle now. You haven't seen true indignity until you've tried to pick up something you dropped while 6 months pregnant. As they walked, slowly, accounting for Emma's altered movement, toward the administration building, students and faculty watched with fascination. Zilax could already hear the whispers spreading across campus. The human is carrying another human inside her body. On purpose. This is normal for them. Ms. Johnson, he said as they entered the elevator, I suspect you're going to become the most famous student at this university. Because of the armor. Because of what's under it. Emma laughed, patting her stomach again. Yeah, she's pretty special, even if she does keep kicking my bladder at the worst possible times. Your bladder, Sinara said weakly. She kicks your bladder from inside your body. All the time. I swear she thinks it's a game. Speaking of which, where's the nearest bathroom? Pregnant women pee constantly because the baby's squishing everything. Zilax pointed down the corridor, watching as Emma waddled off in her medieval armor, carrying a daughter inside her body like it was the most natural thing in the universe, which, for humans, apparently it was. 3 hours later, Zilax sat in his office reviewing the emergency protocols they'd activated, the resources they'd mobilized, and the absolute chaos that had erupted across campus when one human arrived wearing decorative metal plates and carrying a secret that fundamentally challenged everything the Galactic University knew about reproduction. His communication pad chimed. A message from the Galactic Medical Council. Received your report on human reproductive biology. Request immediate verification. Are you claiming humans grow offspring internally for 9-month gestation periods? This contradicts all known xenobiological principles. Please confirm or correct data. Zilax typed back, data confirmed. Human currently on campus, 6 months gestating. Organism visible on scans, actively moving inside host body. Host describes process as normal and beautiful. Recommend immediate review of all human medical protocols across council facilities. We are completely unprepared for this. The response came back within minutes. Council convening. Emergency session. Sending xenobiology team to your location. Do not let the human leave campus. This is the most significant xenobiological discovery in 3 centuries. Zilax looked out his window at the campus below, where Emma Johnson was probably in her dorm room, unpacking medieval history textbooks and gestating an entire new human being like it was a hobby. He typed, "The human has classes tomorrow. She's here to study medieval warfare, not to be a research specimen. Suggest respectful observation protocols." Another message, this time from Vexia. Dean, I've reviewed the literature. Humans don't just gestate internally. They then provide external nourishment through specialized glands for months or years after birth. They form intense emotional bonds with offspring despite enormous resource investment. They alter their entire social structures around supporting reproduction and child rearing. This isn't just a biological quirk, it's their entire evolutionary strategy. Zilak sat back in his chair, trying to process the implications. Humans had conquered their planet, developed space travel, and joined the galactic community while using possibly the most resource-intensive, physically demanding, emotionally complex reproductive strategy in known space. And they wore armor to their first day of university to make a thematic impression. His door chimed. Emma stood there, now out of the armor and wearing what appeared to be standard human casual attire that accommodated her altered body shape. "Hi, Dean Zelax. Sorry to bother you, but I have a question about the meal plan. Does it cover eating for two, or do I need to purchase additional credits? Because this girl gets hungry, and I'm eating approximately 2,500 calories a day right now." Zelax looked at this human, this being who was casually performing a biological miracle that defied everything he thought he knew about reproduction, and said the only thing he could think of. "I'll make sure the meal plan is adjusted. And Ms. Johnson?" "Welcome to Galactic University." Emma smiled. "Thanks. I think this is going to be a really interesting semester." As she left, Zelax pulled up the university's policy manual and started a new section. Accommodations for Human Reproductive Biology. It was, he suspected, going to be a very long document. Somewhere in the dormitory, Emma Johnson texted her mother. Made quite the first impression. They didn't know humans could be pregnant. "Long story. Love you. Tell Dad the armor was a hit, kind of." And inside her body, completely unaware of the cosmic implications of her existence, a tiny human girl kicked her mother's ribs and continued growing, exactly as nature intended.